Percentages, age groups, and the big picture. 3 things you've got to know how to talk about for IELTS Task 1 writing. Hi, my name is Joko, and I'm not on camera right now because my computer's having some problems handling the camera and the screen capture stuff at the same time. So, I decided to review this Task 1 because it is very illustrative. It shows very, not illustrious, illustrative. Illustrative. Olestra. Alright, the captions are fun. This comes to us from the great country of Argentina. I haven't done an Argentinian? Is it Argentine? I don't know. One is the people and one is the products or something. But it quickly became obvious that this is actually not an actual IELTS. Yes, here it is. The task itself is not from an IELTS book. You would not be given a single graph with 10 data points and that be the whole thing. However, this does bring up some very common topics that you'll have to talk about, or the ability to talk about age groups. Okay, aged this and that, and then they often break up these statistics into age groups and percentages, and being able to identify that's what you're talking about. So this has got both of those, and you can kind of tell it must be from a textbook. So first thing you need to do is analyze the graph and forget everything you've been taught about graphs in the past, whatever. People are going to start to look for the highest and the lowest right away. No, I want you to look at it and just let your eyes sort of gloss over and look at the 2 colors. And which color do you see more of? Is there more yellow? Is there more green? It tends to be definitely more yellow there. And notice basic things like there's five age groups, so you can break that up into like the middle age group and the highest and the lowest. And then start to combine things. Okay, so ask yourself the question: when you've got a time period, all right, well, how are things different at the beginning and the end? In 1990, were people more generous or less generous than they were in 2010? Well, I guess there's more yellow, so I'd say more. They're more generous in the past than they were at that time than they were in 2010. And how about older and younger people? Is there more color on the right side of the graph? Yes, there is. So, and that's sort of to be expected, but don't let your preconceptions get in the way or guide you. The graph needs to be thought about in terms of beginnings and endings, similarities, things that remain the same over time. Now, here's one thing to think about. If you were a 57-year-old person in 1990, how old would you be in 2010? Well, you'd be 77. So those people who were yellow in 1990 are green in 2010 in the next group up. The whole thing shifts. I mean, not exactly, but I mean, a 30-year-old in 1990 would be 50 in 2010. And so they're the same people. They're the same Britons. Who the hell are the Britons? We're all Britons. I'm your king. Didn't know we had a king. I thought we were an autonomous collective. You're fooling yourself. We're living in a dictatorship. Be quiet. Yes. All right. Now, in the band descriptors for Task 1, it mentions over and over, fulfills the requirements of the task, satisfies, addresses the requirements of the task. Well, what are these requirements of the task? Well, they are the 4 verbs. They're right there in front of you. It's the second part of the instructions, which is always the same in every graph, in every Task 1. It says, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. I do this on every Task 1 video. I should not, but it's been a while, so going over what these words mean. Now, to summarize means to talk about the most important information in as few words as possible. Summarizing is the essence of Task 1. And so anytime you're using extra words that you don't need to be using, you're not summarizing, and you're not fulfilling the requirement of the task. So any extra verbiage, extra words that aren't needed, go against the main idea. Now, here it says selecting and reporting. Selecting and reporting what? The main features, not the highest and lowest. And that's just automatic. It's not a simple point to the tallest one. It's the main information. Not all the information either. The main information. The most important, the most significant information that someone would want to know. Well, so you have to select it, find that, and then report it. Report also includes reporting it accurately. And make comparisons. Always, that's the one that people forget the most. So let's see how so the chart gives information on the percentage. It's a percentage of people. Hence the percentage sign next to the numbers on the left-hand column. And of rich people giving money to charity by age range. Now, these are the people giving charity, right? Not the people receiving charity. For the years 1990 and 2010. It does not. Well, we'll get to this when we get to the writing. We'll see. All right. Select, report, and make comparisons. Come on. Next slide. Okay. Argentina. First thing I do is I drop it off in a place called Wordcounter.net. And it told me it had 189 words, which is fine. But oddly here, 6 sentences in the whole thing. Uh-oh. This tells me there are going to be some long sentences. And yeah, look at that. 36 words long. The shortest sentence is 24 words. Now, good writing is a combination of both long and short sentences. You need to vary your sentence structures and make them some long and some short. Over here, this tells me how often you repeated words. Years, 9 times. People, 5 times. And yeah, and then more and money. Take those 4 words, and it's about 10% of your whole essay. Here we go. The bar graph shows the amount of money. It is not an amount of money. There's no dollar signs or anything like that. It's a percentage of people. Orange is task achievement. Given to charity. Okay, that's the same. By people, of course, who else? From the United Kingdom. Okay, good. Divided by age range. Age range says the same there. In a period of 20 years. No? It doesn't say anything about what happens inside the period. It's just 2 ends of the period. It's just 2 years. And now you've decided to include your overview in the introduction, which I do not recommend. Because sometimes it's not clear what the overview is. Now here you've made it clear by saying overall. And we say overall. The most donations were received. Oh, no. The people aren't receiving the donations. They're making them in 1990 by an age group. Are there more than one? An age group between 36 to 50 years. Between the 36 to 50 age group. While the most contributions in 2010 were made by Britons. Who are Britons? We all are. We're all Britons. Oh, sorry. from 51 to 65 years of age. Ugh. Yeah, it's not very clear. Is this a clear overview? Well, certainly not by the fact that you said received when you meant given. I'm not sure that's clear, and the information is not the most important information. You just automatically look to the highest number, which tells you what? It tells you about that one data point. I think that if you had said something like, well, overall, it can be seen that older people tend to be somewhat more generous than younger people in Britain. This is true for both 1990 and 2010. However, in 2010, the level of generosity dropped overall across all age groups. Pretty much. Well, no. Okay. As the chart illustrates, don't talk about the chart anymore. The money donated by people. No, it's not the percentage. Is not the money. There's no money in this. It's the percentage of people who donated money. We don't even know how much money they donated. So, from 18 to 50 years of age was at least 5% more than those groups in 2010. Nope, it was not. The number of people were, yes, but you can't say anything about the amount of money. Now, here you go. The highest donation registered over 40% by people 36 to 50 years in 1990. What? Right, now, that's just what you said in the overview. You're repeating yourself. And doing it very wordily with lots of words. So it's not summarizing either. Whereas the lowest was in 2010 by younger contributors, 18 to 25 years. We don't need the years on there. Just say 18 to 25. They gave a small amount above 5%. Looks like about 7% to me. And now here, back to the while. Now you're overusing complex sentences, and they get confusing because you forget words out of them that connect them together. While people under 50 tended to donate more in 1990, more than who? More than what? It's a comparison without a than. In 2010, it can be observed. You've already used the passive. You've shown you can do it. You don't need to show it again. So the donators. Is that a word? Donors. Donors is the word. From 51 to 65 years and more were much generous. Huh? Much more generous. You forgot a word there too. But it's not even true. Much more generous? Look at the numbers. All right. I'd say about 32 to 35% of people, not money, but here we have 35 to 40%. So 5% more people out of 100%. Is this much more generous? No. In fact, they're the same people, right? These people in 1990 were the most generous. Yay. Well, 20 years later, guess where they were on this chart? Here. And they're still the most generous. So you could, if anybody would have observed that, I would give them a 9, because that's an uber analysis. They're the same people. Anyway, despite this, the quantity of money is unknown, was lower than 40%, with a percentage slightly under 40% in the age group 51 to 65 to 35 years, and 35% for the group of 65 years and older. Yeah, how many times did you use the word years? You don't need to say that. We know, it's known for people who were 61, amongst 51 to 65. Well, that would be precise. Don't use words you don't need to. That's not summarizing. And it's blue there. Blue is for coherence and cohesion, because it just loses coherence it kind of falls apart and I can't really tell what I'm reading. Now that I read it a second time, I understand a little bit more. You don't want to make your examiner have to think about what he's reading. And you didn't capture any of the main points, the main ideas in this graph. Older people, younger people. You just had individual points. You didn't even mention that 18 to, I thought for sure, 18 to 25-year-olds were did you mention that? Were the least likely to be donors. Yeah. So despite using 189 words, there's nothing to this report. Very little, anyway. Your language is fine, except for I'm sure if you knew that you had to summarize, well, it does say it right in the instructions, but knew the art of summarizing and how to say things with fewer words, you'd do fine. But really analyze deeply the graphic and understand and look for hidden things. And watch Joko's IELTS Task 1 videos, because they're pretty good, I think. Anyway. Good night, Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.